NEO is being handed down one of these licenses from the government. They were paid by competitors to badmouth NEO, essentially. Guys, we got massive news. Apparently, according to a credible source, NEO is getting its own car manufacturing certification. And before we move further on, I just want to say one of the NEO owners actually sent this into the group, one of the big WeChat groups that I'm in, and asked the general manager of NEO if this was true, and he just replied with a smiley face. So I think we got something pretty good over here. So apparently before, you would have to either purchase a company that had a vehicle manufacturing license, because China handed out these manufacturing licenses way back to old auto companies long time ago, but they stopped handing them out. And the only way to get a car manufacturing license is by buying one of those companies. Now, some of them are bankrupt, near bankrupt. It's just a shell company. It's just a little tiny speck, and you can easily purchase them and get your own manufacturing license. But that's not how NEO got theirs, all right, according to this credible source. The other way, of course, is to work with an existing company that has a manufacturing license, OEM essentially, and that's what NEO has been doing with JAC. But apparently, this is the big shocker, NEO is being handed down one of these licenses from the government. You heard me right, from the government. Never before, all right? This would only happen way back, but now, one of a kind being handed down by the government. NEO's getting their own manufacturing license, and also NEO is apparently going to purchase the assets from JAC, and basically it's all closed loop. Everything is within NEO. They have their own factory, they have their own manufacturing license. It's all going to be NEO. There's no longer going to be that JAC badge in the back of the car, and this is absolutely one of a kind. And guys, this really signifies one thing, that NEO has really got the government behind them. Most of us might not see this, but it really does. Most of the people think that Hongqi is the car company that's got the government's back behind them, but apparently NEO as well, because NEO is so far the only one that's very much Apple-esque and also able to compete with some of the big boys. And here's the shocker, despite delivery numbers not seeming that well, if you consider the price that NEO's being sold at, NEO has tremendously high market share in the price that they're competing in. And every Friday I post these weekly updates, and even though on those weekly updates I have NEO's market share at 50% when you measure it against BMW and Zeekr, apparently the actual number is more like 60%. So that's incredible. Now, this really tells me two things, all right? First of all, that NEO is actually very favored by the government, more than we appreciate, more than we know, all right? William Li has been a big proponent of getting jobs in Hefei, and also in general supporting the development of the whole entire automotive industry and being a leader in that front. And second, this really tells me that the chances of Chapter 11 is very low. Yes, I said it, not financial advice, but I do fully believe that NEO will not go bankrupt, because there's a lot of people waiting to scoop NEO up and essentially offer support, albeit the government or other private equity that really value NEO and NEO's infrastructure. We're hearing a lot of bankruptcy talk in Western media. Elon Musk recently on Twitter said it seems like NEO is having a hard time, and also here in China as well, a lot of videos apparently centered around NEO going under here in China. And according to people familiar with some of those content creators, they were paid by competitors to badmouth NEO, essentially. Because if you look at it, 60% market share, pretty darn high, to be honest. Investors want more. I understand. Yes, we all want NEO to get 100% market share, but that's just not possible, all right? And especially in this price range that they're in. And there's also going to be future competition in this price range. So I think 60% is really, really good already. So back to the factory news, we've seen that recently. I made that video how NIO actually uses AI a lot in their factories, which is just incredible. Their factories is one of the most advanced factories out there. You know, this is definitely going to help NIO sell more cars for sure, because for the longest time ever, we've always had this complaint that the JAC badge in the back just really dragged everything down. It made NIO not look that good. And always being associated with a truck manufacturer that makes your cars doesn't give the best first impression, no matter how much you try to explain it, all right? But most importantly, of course, this is going to save them a lot of money in the long run, but also it shows that the government has got their back. This is the biggest signal that we've got. And you guys probably may or may not know, NIO was always chosen as the official car for some expo or some exhibition design event. All sorts of big events, they choose NIO as the official car. Because why? Why not choose some other car? Why not choose a BYD car? Because NIO's cars represents the automotive technology and prowess of China, essentially. At least that's what the government guys think, all right? So in that essence, they still view NIO as the leader, all right, as the guy in front, even though the market cap does not agree. That probably means that the investor sentiment, thinking that the other companies are worth more than NIO, may be wrong. The government still views NIO as a leader. And even though NIO isn't the poster child for the Chinese government, President Xi still rides in a Hongqi car, NIO's success is definitely something that makes a lot of government officials very proud and happy. So even though the stock price is in the gutter right now, and I know a lot of you guys are frustrated, some of you guys have sold at a loss, it's pretty frustrating for me as well. Not see the recognition from the investment community that NIO is receiving by the government. Even the government gives NIO more recognition than the investment community does. But I still firmly believe in the long run that NIO's true value will be appreciated. The government's got NIO's back, like the government did back in 2019. The government still got NIO's back, and I believe in the future, the government is still going to continuously be behind NIO and support NIO. What do you guys make of this news? As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.